This is Our Voices, Our Legacies, the Medical College of Wisconsin's Oral History Project. I'm Dick Katchke, MCW's Chief Historian, and today is February 8th, 2017. And today I'm talking with Matt Wheeler, and Matt is an M2 at MCW-Green Bay, and he was a member of the first class here at MCW-Green Bay. Thank you for taking time to talk with me today, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt, let's start. You had a rather circuitous route to get into medical school. As I understand, you were a music major in college to begin with.
Yep, yeah, many years ago.
Why don't you tell me that story?
Yeah, I grew up playing music and always loved it, so it was kind of a natural progression for me just to continue studying that in my undergrad. And then I got my master's in conducting, which is kind of an esoteric degree, and taught privately and played for opera studios and accompanied voice lessons, all kinds of things, all the odd jobs you have to do when you're a musician. And eventually started thinking about, what do I want to be doing when I'm 50 years old? And started to just explore some other career opportunities. So medicine was kind of on my radar at that point, and here I am.
And so you did your undergraduate work at
Co-college in Iowa.
Co-college, and then you got your master's from?
University of Minnesota, Duluth.
Mm-hmm. And after getting your master's, though, had you taken any coursework to prepare you for going into medicine?
Nope, there wasn't a whole lot of science curriculum built into a music major degree. So I went back to school, got 60 some odd credits in about a year and a half, took biology 1 and chemistry 1, and just started from square one. So I was homeschooled growing up, and my mom really encouraged me to do a lot of self-study. So getting back into school was really, really easy for me, and just being able to learn all kinds of things that I'd never had the opportunity to study was really exciting. And
where did you do your coursework at?
Yep, so I took a lot of classes at University of Wisconsin-Superior. My wife and I were living in Superior at that point. And a bunch of other schools too, Lake Superior College, Bemidji State. I took some online courses. I got my EMT degree from a little school in Rice Lake. I don't even remember where I got all my classes in. My goal was to do it quickly because my wife was unsure about this potential career path, so I needed to show that I could handle it and get it done.
Where are you from originally?
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa, in Cedar Rapids. It's a city about the size of Green Bay, about 250,000 metro population. So, yep.
And how did you wind up in northern Wisconsin?
When I started dating my wife, she said, I'm moving back to Minnesota. This was before my master's program. We met in college. She said, I'm moving back to Minnesota, so if you want to date me, you better move back to Minnesota too. And I'm like, great, that rules out all the master's programs I could go to except for 2. So yeah, we ended up going back to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. So after you've completed all this additional coursework then that's really prepared you for medicine, what were your thoughts? Where did you start to look to go to medical school, and what were you looking for in terms of a medical school?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a Midwest boy, and I knew I didn't want to end up in a big city. I wasn't going to be all that comfortable, and the difficulties of medical school were going to be I assumed would be enough stress for me. And so I wasn't really looking to go to some of the larger schools that a lot of medical schools are in larger cities. So wanting to stay geographically in the Midwest and in a smaller city definitely helped me start to narrow down my schools. I knew I wanted to do family medicine, and so again, I wanted to find a program that was really promoted that and encouraged that and would prepare me for that field. Because I think you can. A lot of people go into medical school thinking they are interested in primary care, but get diverted from it throughout the process of medical school. I wanted to be at a place that would continue to push me towards that direction. And then as I started to do all the research, and you're supposed to apply to lots and lots of schools to just increase your chances of getting in, Duluth was my number one. I was living in Duluth, and my wife had a full-time teaching job, and we had a
familiar
house.
with it?
And,
Yeah.
and ironically, it was, of all of the schools I applied to, it was the only one I didn't get accepted to. I was waitlisted. I interviewed really early on in the cycle there, so I was thinking, well, if I would have got accepted to Duluth right away, I wouldn't have even gone anywhere else. But thankfully that didn't happen because I got waitlisted, so I continued the interview process and made my way to Milwaukee for an interview. And I knew I didn't really want to end up in Milwaukee again. I wanted a smaller city. But that was what the process was to be able to apply to Green Bay. I'd heard about this new program, and I knew they were primary care focused. So I showed up for interview day. I think it was first day of interviews that MCW Green Bay was holding. And this building that we're in right now was still under construction. And I knew right away after that interview process, if they wanted me, I wanted to be here. I wasn't sure how I was going to tell my wife because we were still really hoping for Duluth, but suddenly there was this curveball that had gotten thrown to me. So, so went back home and started talking to my wife, what do we do if I'm still waitlisted? What if I get accepted here? I really like the program. It's 3 years. I mean, I could save a year of school, a year of tuition. That would just be incredible. They're primary care focused. Like it sounds great. I also like the challenge of something new. I was the first student in my master's program, and while admittedly it's not quite as intense as medical school, it's still you're a bit of a guinea pig. So I'd kind of thrived in that position. So I relished the opportunity to set the dynamic and really be part of an influencing group of people. Fast forward a couple months, and it's second look day, and my wife comes to Green Bay with me, and she gets to meet the staff and some of the other students, potential students, and we get done with the day and close the door as we're getting into the car, and she just says, "We're coming here. This is where we need to go to school." So that's kind of how we ended up out of all the places we could have ended up, how we ended up here, and couldn't have been better.
As you look back on that interview process, what were some of the things that impressed you about the interviews, and what was it that really made you feel that this place was something different than the other institutions you'd interviewed at?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the interview day here was unlike any of the other days. Only a handful of students are being interviewed at a time. So, usually you're in this big room and there's 30 other students and you're all trying to kind of one-up each other, see who's got the better chances, do I really fit in here? I didn't really care about any of that. And so when it was interview day here, and it was just me and one other student that morning, it was neat because I got to really get to talk to the other student and find out what her story was. There wasn't any competition going on. And then I found out the interview was going to consist of me being in a room with 6, 8 other people who were going to be interviewing me, and not that process happened twice. So I ended up being interviewed by about a dozen people, and a lot of them are members of the Green Bay community. They're not medical professionals, bankers, lawyers, people just involved in the community who are really, really concerned and really interested in developing the kinds of people who are going to serve the mission of this school. So it was the most relaxed, enjoyable interview I'd ever had. They really genuinely wanted to get to know who I was as a person, and that incorporated some of my educational background and my MCAT score and kind of just some of those metrics, but more so they wanted to know, is this kid going to be a good fit for this school? I mean, it's going to be so few students, and the dynamics are going to be really interesting. And I don't know what their entire process was for deciding what was good fit, but they did an excellent job with it. Between the classmates that I have and just the types of personalities and the camaraderie that we have. I think we owe that in great part to that interview process. And then there was enthusiasm through the roof on interview day from the staff that were here. They were just so excited to finally have, maybe their first potential student on campus, and just showing everything around and showing off all the unique features of this school, from the technology to being part of this beautiful campus here at St. Norbert. So there was a lot of positive vibes that day.
You were a pioneer in going through the Masters in Music program at University of Minnesota Duluth, and you're a pioneer here at MCW-Green Bay then as well. When you first started the class here, after you were accepted, and by the way, you were the first person to accept the offer to attend MCW Green Bay. So you're technically the very first student at MCW Green Bay. As you and your classmates started, what was the level of enthusiasm and excitement? What did it mean to you to know that you were among the first?
Well, there's always that base level of nervousness, 25 people from all over Wisconsin and beyond kind of gathering for the first time, and not really, knowing you're going to be spending every day for the next 3 years essentially with these people. We got past that really quickly. One of the neat things was we started in the summer, and there's so much going on in the community during the summer. The community really welcomed us, so we were going to things like some free music performances right here on campus, and just spending time outside of class with each other. And also the fact that the summer load it's a little bit lighter than you'd normally have during the regular semester, so we had that time to build those bonds and make connections with each other and show each other the best grocery store in the neighborhood, or where the bike trail was, or where the farmer's market is on Wednesday nights. And so just being able to it was new to all of us. Nobody really had any answers, and so we just got to go figure things out together, which was pretty fun.
Back to the interview process. When you were interviewing, this, not only was it a new campus, but it was a new regional campus that was totally immersive. You would spend all of your time in Green Bay.
Yep.
You wouldn't be in Milwaukee at all. And it was also a 3-year program. That was different than the other schools you interviewed at. How did you react to the idea of those two issues?
Well, for me, I wanted to go to a medical school that would keep me in one place for the duration of my training. I know there are other medical schools where you're at the academic facility for the first couple years, and then they disperse you out into different locations. And I didn't want to disrupt my life that way, and especially with my being married and maybe potentially having a family that we didn't know at that time. And so I just wanted a place I could call home for 3 years. That was really, really important to me. I'm 28 now. I applied when I was, I think it was 26, if I'm going backwards in my head correctly. I've worked and I've lived outside of the academic world enough that I didn't want to be in school for the rest of my life. So getting a year back was huge. Not just from the tuition standpoint, but I would be practicing medicine and being with patients a year sooner. That's priceless to me.
You talked before about the discipline that it took for you to be able to take those 60 credits of pre-med work and really in a year and a half like that. Is that the same discipline that's required to be in an accelerated program like this, where you are going to be going for 3 years with very few breaks and really acquiring the same amount of medical knowledge that your counterparts at other schools are having in 4 years?
It definitely helped. I pretty much haven't stopped since I started taking those pre-med courses. After a while, you just get into a rhythm, and you keep it up, and it just kind of becomes your new normal. When we had our first break after our significant round of exams at the end of the year, we had a week off. And I talked to all my classmates when we got back, and we all said the same thing. And it was after about 3 or 4 days, we were like, oh my goodness, I need something to do. Give me something to study, or it just felt wrong. So the 3-year program and the lack of no breaks, there are breaks, but there's not extended months at a time or vacation time. It sounds a little intimidating, but really it's just you get into the swing of things and you keep going. It's not been too bad. I almost wonder if, because there's this epidemic of burnout in medical school and medicine in general, and there's almost no time for burnout. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. Maybe that's some deep underlying psychological problem, but no, we're happy, and we just keep pushing through it. So
now, the way that coursework is structured through Polycom, you're able to interact with your counterparts at MCW Milwaukee. What's it like? And it's a different culture there. How do you, as a small group of students, interact with a very large group of students that are based in Milwaukee?
Yeah. I don't know. It's almost like we're taking lectures from a different room, except that we don't ever see the people in the other room. So, we're getting all of the content at the same time. We can ask questions. We can answer questions at the same time as them. We end up hearing voices that they're the people who consistently get on the microphone and answer the questions. So we have these concepts of these people down in Milwaukee whose voices we recognize, but we have no idea who they are or what they look like, which I think is kind of funny. Most of our interactions are really with the professor or the lecturer, and then every once in a while we have some communication that happens with students. Usually, though, that's more in a smaller group and not in a big lecture hall.
When you look back on your M1 year, what were some of the courses that stood out that you felt really were of value to you?
Yeah. Let me see. First of all, our course in the summer, Foundations of Clinical Medicine, if I'm getting the acronym right, introducing us to the clinical side of medicine. Well, we didn't have any pathology or any disease knowledge or anything like that yet whatsoever, but it was learning to take a good history and basic physical exam skills, and how are you going to interact with the doctor, and how are you going to interact with the patient, being professional, laying that groundwork so that we could, week 1 of the fall semester of medical school, start our clinical apprenticeship, was absolutely invaluable. I felt like I was becoming a doctor right away, not because I had my nose in a book 7 days out of the week, but because I was seeing patients. And that's really why we come to school, is because we want to change people's lives, not just to learn all kinds of esoteric facts that we can stuff into our brain and regurgitate for a test. So that opportunity was really important to me. Preceptorship, which followed after the FCM class during the summer, really kept me going during the year, because I knew once a week I was going to go see patients, and I was going to go spend time with my doctor that I was getting to, just have a fantastic relationship with, and just be reminded why I was putting all this time and energy into it. So that aspect of our education for our first year was invaluable.
The students in Milwaukee, for the most part, are on one campus, and that's where the hospitals and clinics are all located as well. And occasionally they'll rotate to some of the other hospitals, but it's a pretty contained program. Here, you are on the St. Norbert campus, but you're also on the Bellin College campus. You are engaged in hospitals throughout the area. So really, Green Bay and De Pere are your campus. What's it like to be able to interact throughout the community like that?
Well, first of all, I feel like I know more about what's going on in the community because I'm not just in this one little bubble site where everybody comes to us. That just doesn't happen. We go everywhere in this community. I've been in East De Pere with a family clinic. I've been up in O'Connell Falls outside of Green Bay with a preceptor, and I've been at the 2 hospitals and Bellin College. Like, we're all over. We get to know so many different aspects of this community, which is fantastic. I ride my bike to the hospital. I live off the bike trail just over here in East De Pere and ride my bike to the hospital during the summer, which is like, I'm not going to get exercise any other way, unfortunately. And so just being able to explore our community that way is wonderful.
You mentioned before that you were located, this is a beautiful campus at St. Norbert. How does that help enhance the quality of life for the students here, being on a liberal arts campus like that?
Yeah. I don't think we always take as full advantage as we'd like to, being, our schedule's pretty full. We get to go play intramural sports with some of the undergraduate students, which is a great outlet. I was in the college choir last year for part of the year and got to sing in some of their performances. Just being able to continue to take advantage of some of the extracurricular activities is really, really nice. And it's something I'm reminded every time I come into this building and see what look like really, really young undergraduate students that share it with us, is that we're all at different points of this journey. Some of these students that are taking classes here at St. Norbert might end up being future alumni with me here. We're all working hard and kind of pursuing the same goal, which is getting the most out of our education we can.
You're a trailblazer. You were in the first class of MCW Green Bay. And as you interacted with people in the community and they found out that you were a medical student here, what reaction did they get? What questions did they ask of you?
Well, they always say, "Oh, you're at the new medical school at St. Norbert." I'm like, "Yes, yep, we're Medical College of Wisconsin. We're a new campus here in Green Bay, and we get to share, the campus with the wonderful college at St. Norbert." So there's always a little bit of that confusion that I like to hopefully clear up a little bit. Everyone is always so excited, and they want to know, what are you studying? What do you hope to go into? Where are you from? Like, what do you think of Green Bay? Are you going to stick around? Do you like the Packers? So it is something that so many people here in the community have heard about, but there's so few of us. It's kind of a novelty still when they meet us, which I feel like is funny because to me, Green Bay is just my home now. But we're still something new and exciting to so many people, so that's neat.
You are, again, on an accelerated path, and so many of the students that were in the lectures that you had your first year as M1s at the campus in Milwaukee are now pursuing their education, but you're engaging with students that are perhaps ahead of them in Milwaukee as well. As you look at this pace, knowing that you've got exams that are coming up, some of your boards are coming up already, You're going to start considering residency rotation. How does this pace really strike you then?
It's crazy. I try not to think too much about it. I'm a one day at a time kind of guy. I know there's things that I have to prepare for, and you kind of lay that groundwork and get it done. It is really strange knowing there's a class ahead of us in Milwaukee that we're going to be graduating at the same time with. It's also comforting knowing there's people ahead of us who can answer some of the same questions or we have, and who can even, and we do this. We'll call down to Milwaukee, and they'll tell us stuff that wasn't even on our radar, we didn't even think about. So it's comforting in a way. It is strange though, knowing that we're graduating with a class of students that we've not been taking lectures with, which is funny.
Medicine is described as the art of medicine, and the humanities really do play a role. And given your background in music, in the humanities, and now engaging in the profession of medicine, how do you see them interacting?
Personally, for me, I believe you have to be a good human and a good doctor. And there's a lot of outlets and ways you can develop yourself to be a good human being. For me, that's music and creativity and sharing in the universal language of music and the expressing of emotion and the shared experiences that kind of brings together, whether that's me practicing a piece at home late at night just to blow off some steam, or whether that's singing with a choir with 150 other people. That helps keep me grounded in my humanity, and I hope that will make me a better doctor in the future. I don't want to pretend that music or the arts or something that I feel really involved with is the best way of tying medicine and the arts together. But because I think everybody has to discover what that is for themselves. But I think it's important to develop that within yourself. And people often talk about the discipline required in music. There's discipline required in any skill that you develop to such a fine degree. And so to me it's more the effort you have put into it and then the sharing of it that's the most important. Not necessarily a musical activity or a right brain, left brain kind of thing. It's more of the attitude that it makes in you. Yeah.
You are the first one. Now you're an M2. There are M1 students that are here now. How do you interact with the M1s, and how do you help provide the counsel and support that perhaps you didn't have from upperclassmen when you were a first-year medical student?
We were really excited when the M1s arrived. It had been the 25 of us for so long, so that was it was like having a ton of new younger siblings all at once. I hope they have really benefited from us being here for a year and kind of working out some of those kinks, but also being able to pass on some of the knowledge and the experiences we've had, whether that's how to work with the preceptors in the area, or, man, this is a crazy test coming up, put some extra time into this, and here's some resources that we used last year. For the most part, when it comes to those questions they have, they're really good at coming to us, which, now that I think about it, means that that hopefully they trust us, and they recognize that we really want what's best for them. I remember when I interviewed, one of the things I said was, as a member of the first class, one of the things I'm going to work really hard at is to make sure that the class that follows us does even better than us. Not because I wanted us to do badly or to not succeed, but that was going to be an indicator of our success, as if the class behind us was able to avoid some of the growing pains and to maybe even do better in their classes. That was going to be important to me.
Because there are only 25 students that are in your class compared to the 204 at Milwaukee and larger classes that you'll find at other medical schools, it gives you an opportunity to really get to know your classmates perhaps a lot better and also take on leadership roles then as well that perhaps you wouldn't be able to do if you were in a bigger cohort of students. As you look at your leadership skills, where do you feel that you've been able to rise to the occasion as a leader?
Well, when you start with a blank slate, it's pretty easy to create something. I don't think creating something is necessarily an indicator that you've done something well. But we have been able to start engaging with the community and doing some volunteer activities, which is important to me because that means we've moved from beyond taking care of ourselves to we have our needs met and we can start to emerge from that bubble. So that has been an important indicator for me. There's leadership opportunities galore at this campus right now. If you want to do something, there will be energy and motivation to do it. And whether that's inviting doctors to come in and speak to us, or showing organs from the body donors to local schools and getting kids interested in biology and science and teaching them about diseases and why smoking's bad and all kinds of things like that. We've made it all from nothing, which is a huge tribute just to the energy and motivation of this class. So I think that's going to be something special that really never stops up here, hopefully. I hope we're never just satisfied to continue with everything that already exists. I hope we always want to push and do better.
Just as you were a member of the first class here at MCW-Green Bay, there are students now that are the members of the first class at MCW Central, Wisconsin. Have you had any interactions with that new campus then? And what kind of interactions and what advice do you give to the students that are pioneering on that campus?
That's a good question. I actually feel like I probably have invested almost an equal amount of time with the Central Wisconsin students, although I don't get to interact with them as often. We have a lot more email communication and video conference calls with a few students, kind of their leaders there. And I'm so excited for them. I mean, they get to go through all the fun stuff we got to go through, and the joys and the pains of it. So I see them going through that. And part of me, it's almost like there's this analogy, you don't want to ever help a butterfly out of its chrysalis. Like it needs that struggle to emerge and fully grow and develop. So I don't want to just give them all the solutions, and I don't want to tell them all the right answers. I am really interested, and we talk a lot about what's going on your campus, and they have a chance to really ask of us, what's different, what's the same, are we doing things the right way? And so that's been a fun process. They have a very different curriculum, and so in some ways, I can't answer all of their questions, and but I can say I will support you guys fully with whatever you need. And we're behind you, whether that's through student assembly that you guys need, or whether it's curriculum resources. We're here to help you guys. So it's been neat seeing them go from that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, I'm full of excitement and completely terrified at the same time, to really coming into their own and starting to take leadership positions within the entire MCW school. So,
You've had a chance to interact with faculty members and staff here in Green Bay, and as an undergraduate, and as you were taking the pre-med coursework, you interacted with faculty members there. Who are the people that have been your mentors? Who have been the people that have encouraged you as you've been on this path to become a physician?
There have been so many teachers along the way. I remember, Facebook has this feature where it'll bring up memories, and which I find really neat because it's really easy to forget about experiences you've been through. And a Facebook post popped up, a memory popped up a few months ago, and it was I'd just been accepted to my first medical school that I had interviewed at, and I listed out thank you to my mom, to my professors at my undergrad, my music professors, Dr. Falk, Dr. Campbell up at University of Minnesota Duluth, and then just this whole slew of professors who had kind of guided me through this crazy dream, and I didn't know what was going on, of all my science professors at the schools I was at. Outside of the academic world, there were a couple of doctors that really took me under their wing, and I think showed me what it was like to be a caring physician, which I had no idea really what being a doctor was like. And so just their early modeling was really foundational for me. So it was, again, it was really neat to be reminded of all the people who had invested so much time into my life. It's easy to think, me, look at all the hard work I did, look at all the essays I wrote, look at all the schools I applied to, look at all the interviews I successfully did. And to realize there's so much more to your journey than just the things you accomplish.
You are going to be applying for residencies soon, and as you start to think about your career and the residency, this is a campus, and you mentioned before you've been interested in family medicine and primary care, and this is also a campus that specializes in psychiatry and in surgery as well. At this point, where do you think that your interests lie as you start to look at a residency? And what is it that you want out of a residency?
Yeah, I want to go to a family medicine residency that's going to prepare me to be full spectrum. I doubt that I will use full spectrum medicine in my future, but I want to be prepared for that possibility if that door opens up. I don't want to be limited. So obstetric training is going to be really important to me, and rural experiences are going to be important. There's so many excellent family medicine residency programs in Wisconsin, in the upper Midwest. We're really, really lucky. So it's almost overwhelming, the amount of choices that I have. So I hear rumors that at some point there might be a family medicine residency up here in Green Bay. I hope that comes true. It won't happen in time for myself. For my future classmates, I really hope that comes true. There's a psychiatry residency that's opening up, and hopefully that'll attract some of the students to stay in the area. I'm gonna stay I'm going to go to residency and I'm going to practice medicine somewhere where we get lots of snow during the winter. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I've got plenty of choices, thankfully.
If someone was considering medical school, what recommendations, what advice would you give them if they, considered a career in medicine and the adventure of going through medical school? And what recommendation would you give if they were considering MCW-Green Bay?
If you want to go to medical school, you have to first of all be resilient. Do something that pushes you further and harder than you thought you could ever go. Because medical school, no matter what that was, is going to be beyond that. So I think that's my first piece of advice. You'll also learn a whole lot about yourself in that process. Find a good doctor who can model what being a compassionate physician is. Because it's not all about what you know. It's about how you can take care of that patient and communicate with them. That's really important. If you want to come to MCW-Green Bay, you better enjoy standing out because there's nowhere to hide up here. Which for us is a fantastic thing. We love that. And if you want to truly become embedded in the community and grow to love the people and really see what medicine is like on a practical level, I don't get to experience what academic medicine is. It's a foreign concept to me. I get to drive down the street to the family clinic where I meet with the family doc and see the patients, and I deliver babies, and I see them at the farmer's market the next month, and there's this joy from knowing that I was a part of their medical care. That's priceless to me.
I've asked you a lot of questions, Matt. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to add?
The people here are wonderful. The staff here at this school bend over backwards to make sure you have the opportunity to succeed. They really take the time to listen and to find out what needs to be done differently, what needs to be improved. So many things they had figured out already, which is impressive for a first-year medical school. We came along and helped them find those few things that needed to be worked out. And to their credit, they do that, and they do that cheerfully and without making excuses. We owe a whole lot to the faculty and staff here at MCW-Green Bay for going above and beyond to make this truly be my med school and the only medical school I would ever really wish to attend. So first of all, thank you to all the staff. Also to the community for embracing us so much, both the medical community and the general community. It's a new thing, and it's disruptive when 25 students come into your clinics and the hospitals, and there's a lot of details that have to be worked out. I have not heard a single word of grumbling or discontent about, oh, the student is here. And again, that's to their credit. They want to teach us. They're excited to have us. And so thank you to the community for welcoming their arms to us.
Thank you, Matt, and I wish you the best as you can continue your career to become a physician.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.